Hello and welcome back to my channel. If you're here, it must mean that you want to do a little Beanie Baby taxidermy. You might have seen my first Beanie Baby taxidermy video. If you haven't, it's at the link below in the description. These were so fun to make. I was inspired by Trovely. She's on Instagram and here on YouTube, and she did another Beanie Baby taxidermy that I had to try. And if you can believe it, it's even kookier than this one. Today we are taking little Smoochy the Frog and we are turning him into a Smoochy the Frog Thai Beanie Baby biology class dissection taxidermy. Look at how amazing that came out. Show you some angles. I'm going to show you how you can make one for yourself. It took me about 2 hours last night, and I also have all the instructions linked in my substack below. So if you need a written how-to guide as to how to do this, it's in the link below. Let's do it. This DIY is going to start with the prep work for your plaque. For me, I decided to paint it pink. Essentially, I just went with the thought process of all of the insides or majority of the insides of the frog is going to be pink. So I just wanted to play off that color scheme. So I just used regular acrylic paint from the craft store, did one simple coat, and then set it aside. This needs about 20 minutes to dry to the touch. In the meantime, you can start prepping your plush. So I'm using a little X-Acto knife to cut a seam in the center of the frog. From there, I'm just getting out as many beans as I can. And I used a combination of the scissors and the X-Acto knife to make the opening in the abdomen. So you can see one cut down the center, and then you cut perpendicular at the top and the bottom of that original cut seam to make the little flaps to open up his abdomen. From there, I just took out, there was this little like mesh piece on the inside that was holding all the beans. Took that out, got the rest of the beans out, and now you're ready to start doing some prep work on your frog. I chose to do all this while my plaque dries. So I'm taking E6000. You can get an applicator tip, which I should have. I'm sure I have it somewhere. But you're using the E6000 and a toothpick, if you don't have the applicator tip, to put a little piece of ribbon all the way around the edge of the abdomen flaps. This is not necessary. I chose to do this to hide the rough edges that I created, and I used a complimentary yellow ribbon and just did it all the way around. You can add any decoration you want. Like truly at this point, it's just whatever you want to do. From there, I could put my little frog aside, little Smoochy, and move back to my plaque. So I'm using just a thin coat of Mod Podge over the top face of the plaque. Get an even coat, and I just let it sit for just a minute or two just to get a little tacky. And then you're going to take your fabric and place it right over. Press down, make sure there's no bubbles. I didn't show it here, but I also let this dry for about 10 minutes. And then cut off all the excess. Ta-da! Now it's actually the fun part, which is putting together the entire ensemble. I started with the edge ribbon. So all of the decorations are to your liking, to your desire. This is pretty necessary around the edge, and it's strictly just to hide the raw edge of the fabric. So I'm taking that same E6000 on a toothpick. I just edited out that portion of it so this isn't too long, but I am just tracing the ribbon all the way around the edge of the fabric. Again, I chose a really fun complementary pink color. Again, I just thought it would look really, really cute. So my color scheme for this is pink to match the intestine guts of the frog, and then yellow and green because little Smoochy just comes as yellow and green. For reference, when you're trying to find Beanie Babies, go to the thrift store. It's crazy how many are there. I found 3 of these little frogs. So this will likely not be the last video you see when it involves a plush frog getting dissected. I'm using these little foam hearts that I had in my little craft bag to cover the raw edge of the ribbon. So it's actually kind of funny. You just spend the whole time covering the raw edge of the piece that you just put on. So covered the raw edge of the fabric with the ribbon, and then now the hearts to cover the raw edge of the ribbon. As you can see, I'm now moving on to gluing Smoochy to the plaque. I use hot glue. You just find as best you can the center and glued him down and held for a couple minutes to make sure he was secure. From there, I'm doing the same thing with his individual little feet. So hot glue on the bottom of the foot, placed it down, immediately put one of my little pins into his foot. So the pin goes through the hot glue, and I just pressed hard enough until I felt a little bit of give into the wood. So I feel like this is plenty secure. And I copied this again for his little arms. Hot glue on the bottom of each one. I find the E6000 doesn't do well with like the Beanie Babies or fabric. So I wanted to make sure that I had a really good adherence. And personal preference, I think leaving the little tie tag on is so cute. So I chose to do that, just letting it kind of hang off the side. Now, again, this is not necessary. You could just glue the frog down. You don't have to do the pins. I just think it's such a nice touch. So I use little green pins for his yellow feet, and then I use little yellow pins for his green legs and arms. I just thought, again, it was just like a nice little contrast. From there, I actually used pins to hold open the abdomen flaps, and I used little pink ones, but I just found that they were so light that it was hard to see. So I added little tiny buttons. That's what I'm doing now. I just glued the little buttons to the top of the pins just for a little bit more vibrant of a pink. Now it's time for the best part, which is filling the cavity. I added this yellow fabric just to hide that mesh that I cut out, and honestly, I ended up covering it completely, so it really wasn't necessary, but still a nice touch. I'm using this puffy yarn. It obviously just looks just like the inside of a frog. It's so funny. I was gluing things in and looking around and thinking to myself, like, what looks like intestines? Like, what looks like the inside of an animal that I could add here? So a couple of hot pink pom-poms. Like I said, I was going with a pink interior to contrast the green and the yellow. And this little like rope ribbon ended up being perfect. You can see I was using the hot glue just to wrap it around itself and glue together. This looked perfect at the bottom of the little abdomen. It really looks like the bottom of his intestine tract, the poor thing. And then from there, added in just a little more of the original pink yarn just to fill the cavity. And then you can see I'm folding up this pink ribbon, just again, anything that I can to put in there to fill it up to make it look like it is truly the inside of a frog. Some Mardi Gras beads. Fun fact, my mother, when she was in town, she found those on the ground and we took them home. And then obviously I have to add a little heart, so a little sparkly heart. And now the interior is done. I'm like so pumped at how this came out. I can't believe how good it looks. And at this point, I could be done, but I really just wanted to add a little bit more green to the plaque itself, just to, again, like play off the green and the yellow colors on the frog. So that's what these extra little mini foam hearts and beads are. And then final touch, I took more Mardi Gras beads, specifically green ones, because I really didn't have very many green ribbons to use, and I glued that all the way around the exterior circumference of the plaque, right underneath the pink ribbon. So you can see it like kind of just a little peekaboo from the beads, but here she is. This is how you can put together your very own dissected plushy tie Beanie Baby frog and just make the kookiest craft of them all. With filming, this took me about 2 hours, and if you're interested, I have a full how-to instruction in the link below. And that is how you make your Biology 101 Beanie Baby frog dissection taxidermy. How amazing is that? I mean, it just came out so incredibly. I can't believe it. Thank you again to Trovely for the inspiration. Follow her here on YouTube and over on Instagram. She does like weekly drops where she sells her taxidermy on her Etsy page. I just do it for the love of the craft, but who knows, maybe in the future, because this is so fun to do. If you like seeing kooky crafts like this and other unhinged DIYs, please subscribe and hit that notification bell so you can be notified every time I do another whimsical little craft. So thank you so much, and we'll see you in the next one.